Well, welcome to this episode of Transformation Decoded as we enter into the week of gratitude and Thanksgiving here in the United States. And so we thought it might be a great time to talk about gratitude from different perspectives, what it means, traditions, and how all of it fits into the crazies of 2020. Welcome to today's Transformation Decoded. I'm Jackie Elmer, creator of the Street Smart Wealth Academy and streetsmartwealth.com, and we are thrilled today to be talking about a topic that's timely and on everybody's mind as we navigate the crazies of 2020, and that is gratitude, Thanksgiving, what all of that means, and how we move forward and be grateful for what we're living in and with today. Along with me are Lee and Isabel, my cohorts on this fun, fabulous journey. And I'm going to turn it over to each of them and let them introduce themselves. Lee?
Hello, I am Lee Woodward, and I think we called me a woman in transition as I'm transitioning from shutting down my business to figuring out what I'm going to do next, and looking forward to our discussion.
Isabel.
Isabel, the Encore Catalyst, also a woman in transition as I continue to reinvent and discover what it's like to be in my 60s and evolving.
And I love it because so many of us are in transition, some by choice, some not by choice in light of everything that's going on. So
Right.
all of these discussions are so timely along with that. So gratitude is a hard word to swallow, maybe currently for a lot of people and a lot of with what's going on. And so I wanted to approach gratitude from a different perspective of the kind of canned thing that we think about. Practice gratitude every day. Write 10 things down every day in your gratitude journal that you're grateful for, and be grateful for this, that you have this, that, and everything else. And for me, one of the things that I've really been working on is gratitude because of and in spite of things that are going on, and finding that place within myself to be grateful for the lessons that are offered to us. So Lee, what comes up for you when you think of gratitude?
Yeah, I mean, this last year, I think I've always had a little bit of a tension with the word gratitude, because to me, it always had meant that I'm supposed to want to, put my arms around and give big, hairy, ugly things, a big hug and a big kiss on the lips and say, "Oh, I'm so glad this happened to me, or this is in my life." And I think it's been through this last year, just really really thinking, what is gratitude? And Jackie, I think you hit it. For me, I've kind of really, oh no, it's not about that thing that happened, good, bad, or indifferent, right? Neutral. It's just about, regardless of that, being able to be in that feeling of like, hey, I'm in gratitude. I'm enough. And I think you've used that word a lot, like I'm enough. It's enough. Life's enough. Like right now in this moment, it's good. So that's kind of been the transition for me.
I love that. So relevant right now. Isabel?
I love the fact that we can be really honest about this and say sometimes I just don't fucking feel like being grateful for what's going on. I grew up with that whole children should be seen and not heard, and be darn well grateful for everything that you get all of the time. And, sometimes we just don't feel grateful or happy in the moment for a situation or something. Now, as children, we didn't have the choice, but as adults, we do have the choice. And so just being really, really honest about the fact that even though I am, the queen of positivity and have always got a smile on my face, I truthfully not always feeling gratitude every moment.
And I think it's important to, not that anybody needs our permission, but to be real and authentic with that. Being a positive person, being,
Yep.
all of those different things doesn't mean that we're in that mode all the time. And it doesn't mean that we don't have feelings or situations and circumstances that happen that we're not going to be happy about. Life is 50-50. I mean, it's just the way it is. There are bad things that go on. We'll never change that. But it's how we learn to navigate that. And especially as adults, harder as children, which I
Yep.
think is a clue for parents coming up, I wish I would have had the skill sets when my children were younger to be able to say, tell me how you're feeling, instead
Yeah.
of, oh, don't cry. Oh, don't be sad. You are sad.
It could
Let it
be worse.
Right. It could be worse. Or if you don't put a smile on your face, I'll give you something to cry about.
Cry.
Yeah, like whatever. Like,
hold my
wow.
hand, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But to give kids growing up in these times, for sure, and just permission to feel what you feel, think
Yeah.
what you think, and feel what you feel. And then once you've experienced that, we know it takes about 90 seconds max to really truly experience a feeling, and then you can move on from it, and brings instant relief. But when you keep burying it, it makes it harder and harder to find gratitude about anything. But I think those are the key things. And I had mentioned before that for me, one of the things I've focused on is in the moment. One of the gifts for me of 2020 has been really truly understanding what it means to be present, to be in the
Yeah.
present moment, and to really understand that really is all I have. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, but I have this moment. And is there enough in this moment, and am I sufficient? And if I can say yes to that, then finding the gratitude with that
Hmm.
opens me up to experience more, experience better, and show up better, instead of focusing on the lack of anything. And even just little simple things like I've been getting up really early before the sunrise and appreciating that brilliant crimson sky when the sun comes up, and the owls who've been frequenting my house and hooting, and just things. It's a whole different world out there before the sun comes up. The birds that sing in a different way, things that you hear about, that you see in Disney movies,
Mhm.
different things like that. But really being able to experience some of that stuff and find the gratitude in the moment of that has been important for me to open me up for other areas of gratitude and experiencing it in a different way.
Well, and I think some of those stories we tell ourselves about what is gratitude, hey, it could be worse, like you should be grateful because it could be something else. I mean, kind of the stories we tell ourselves are the stories in which we view the world. And if you think about it, it really limits empathy and compassion when the story we have going is, well, my job is to view that person's situation with it could be worse. Like
Right.
they need to buck it up because they need to put that smile on their face. So I think, when we have kind of those weird stories about gratitude, it really limits on how we connect with other people and the compassion we can have, probably flip into judgment more, move away from empathy because you're like, come on, this could have happened or that could have happened. So I don't think it's just affects us. It affects all how we view the world.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that I'm still learning, and I'm learning that to be authentic about how I'm feeling, first of all, for myself, to tell myself the truth about, yes, I am heartbroken that I'm not going to experience the holidays the same way, and to be with the people that fill me up again. But also, I think so important to be, okay, recognize that, accept it, give myself a hug, and to show up truthfully, honestly for the people that I know that I am a model for it. I am an influence for. So to say to my children and my grandchildren, I'm really disappointed that we aren't going to be doing that together this year. But then to be able to go, but that doesn't mean that we aren't going to do it another time or in a different way right now. I feel like I'm misrepresenting the situation if I just put the smile on my face and say, oh, it could be worse. At least we're all healthy. I'm going to throw up if I say that one more time, if I hear myself saying that. Well, the good news is we're all healthy. Everybody, a lot of people have it worse than we do. That is true. Absolutely, it is true. But it doesn't change the fact that my heart is still hurting because I miss the people that I wanted to be celebrating with again.
I think one of the things about it could be worse or other people have it worse is remembering that you choosing not to acknowledge your own pain or unhappiness in a situation doesn't lessen anybody else's unhappiness. So it's not like if
Right.
you don't experience yours is going to be less, right? It doesn't, it's apples and oranges. The two aren't even related. So that, yeah, let's just kick that to the curb once and for all. That whole, it could be worse, or so-and-so has it worse, or whatever. Of course, but that
I
doesn't change the situation that we have right now.
You totally brought to mind something that Lee taught me, and that was that opportunities are like pie. You know, we were not, there's an unlimited number of slices. We're not going to run out. Well, it's the same thing for the reverse side, right? The 50-50, as you say, Jackie, the negative side of that, there is sadness and disappointment, and a loss of expectation. Just because other people have it doesn't mean that I don't also have it. So there's more pie.
There is. Yep,
Mm.
definitely.
These are mud pies.
Sorry.
That's all right.
And as affirmed by the dog. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do we, obviously, again, with the crazies of 2020, what are your thoughts on navigating differences and changes with holidays and traditions and still maintaining that place of gratitude and enjoyment for what we do have?
Well, I'm going to jump in here and say to remember always that a calendar date that was chosen by, I don't know, some old guy with a long white beard at some point in history should not determine the day that I'm going to be happy and grateful and create memories. And so I'm going to shift my focus to the fact that I can choose the days to be thankful and Thanksgiving and celebrate with people I love.
Good. Lee?
Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. It has been. I just love that. To me, it's a really pared down. It's about being together, and I do love that idea of just taking a breather and saying, "Wow, life's great." And it's just one day to kind of do that. Isabel, to your point, shouldn't be that day, but I've always loved it for that reason, and of course the food. So I mean, I think this year, with my dogs, obviously, well, just that time to be together. And we've always done it small families, so we don't have big changes. Um, but so our tradition is have it be a stress-free day. I mean, as much as the cooking and everything, it's really a day where like you can wear the sweats, you can, have your fuzzy socks on, and you can go back for that third plate 2 hours, later. There's just like there's no rules on that day, and I love that, and it's a kind of expectation free, I guess. And so that to me, I love it. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm
I
trying to
love that.
stretch my stomach already.
Yeah, really. I love that you brought up the word expectation, because I think that's
Mm,
part of it too, is managing our expectations.
right.
That's not the same as lowering them. I think it's just managing them and saying, okay, this year and today, it's going to be a little different than it was before. And my expectation has always been this. And now I am willing to, because I have to, change my expectation a little bit. So how can I still keep the bar high for what my expectation is, to enjoy myself, to make it a pleasant experience for anyone who might be around me, and not allow myself to fall too far into but this is not how we've done it in the past. So I like that thought of expectation management.
Excellent.
Yeah. I guess for me, I was fortunate. I went to work for the airline industry at age 20, and I'm 57 now. So 37 years, I've navigated the world of holidays in different cities with different people, and not always having enough time off to travel home or do any of that. And so I learned early on to make the event on the day that the event needed to occur. There were many years my children thought December 23rd was Christmas morning, because they were too young to know the calendar date, and we just did the best that we could. There were many years and we started doing this early on, even in our marriage, even before of, the holiday was celebrated with everybody who was there in the city and the base and the whatever, bringing in all the misfits and the strays and people who didn't have somewhere to go. And those really are some of my best memories around the holidays is kind of the changing complexion of it. So I guess I feel grateful that I've had a differing experience. I love the holidays. I love every one of them. But my expectations are always a little bit different for who and how it might turn out. So, and if that just meant it was two of us, that was good too.
Right.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this interesting season of holidays and gratitude and what's before us?
Well, I want to say how grateful I am to have both of you as my mastermind partners and consumers of life and pie.
Very good.
Okay.
Lee?
Yeah. I guess I just had mentioned this before, but I think a lot of what we've talked about is the resiliency, and just that to be grateful requires you to be resilient. And I think the expectation, hey, this is what it needs to look like, this is what it needs to be, also makes that harder, because we just start to have this hard perspective and miss the opportunity in the dark in the morning. You go, oh, birds sing before the sun comes up. I didn't know that, So I love that idea of just being flexible and resilient and going with it.
Yeah. I guess that's it for me too, is right now and always, this is the lesson that I've gotten lately this year is right now in the moment, look around and find joy, find something that lights you up. And that's not that hard to do when you put your mindset to that of looking past the things that aren't and looking toward the things that are, that can bring your spirits up and bring gratitude into play.
Well said.
Yeah, well said.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening in. Please leave any questions or comments. Share with us what you're doing to bring gratitude into your life, not only today, through the holidays, but every day. Subscribe to our channel. Certainly follow us on Facebook. All the links will be in the show note. We appreciate you as always. We're grateful for you. And we will see you on the next Transformation Decoded.
Bye.
Bye.